Welcome back to Game Talk 24/7. I'm your host, Josh Cunningham. Before we get to the video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and like the video. It really means a lot. It really helps out the channel, and I appreciate it more than you know. Also, don't be afraid to comment down below. Without further ado, let's talk sports. Hey guys, welcome back to Game Talk 24/7. Today is Thursday, January 15th, 2026. And boy, do we have some good playoff games coming up this weekend. A national championship coming up next Monday. And we have some basketball games coming up this weekend that are going to be phenomenal too. And it just happened. But before we get to that, I got this on Christmas. I was going to hang it up for this video, but you know, I did not have time to. So we have, it's upside down. Who would have thought? We have something I'm going to hang up in the background that says a new Game Talk 24/7 flag that I'm going to put up in the back of this set slash my room that will now be in the background of every single video going forward. I got it for Christmas again, and it's I meant to hang up today before the video, but I could not find my hammer. So we're not gonna hang it up just yet. But I thought, I got it on Christmas. I might as well at least show you guys before I hang it up, because I'm gonna hang up. But we also got breaking news in the NFL. John Harbaugh is set to become the next head coach of the New York Giants. He has not been signed yet. He has not signed that little dotted line to be their next head coach, but he's expected to. Bar any setbacks, he will be their next head coach. And boy, if you're a Giants fan, are you excited? Because, well, John Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach. He might not be as good as he was in his prime, or maybe he is, and he just, wasn't having some success with certain play by certain players on his team. That's all for debate. He's still a really good head coach. If I said quarterback, I misspoke. He's still a really good head coach. He's won a Super Bowl. He's probably a Hall of Fame worthy head coach by the time his career is said and done. More than probably, most likely. It's like, I would say 99%. Like, he's a Hall of Fame head coach. Phenomenal. He is set to become the New York Giants' next head coach unless anything sets that back. Again, bar any setbacks. I don't see anything doing that unless money is a big issue. But I mean, John Harbaugh's been coaching for a while. If he's complaining about money, then he might have other problems depending on how much they offer him. Another news, Miami, Ohio should be ranked in college basketball. They are undefeated. They have not lost a single game. And the thing is, they don't play anybody. They play in the MAC. They're not going to play anybody. They're going to be favored against all their opponents. They should win every single game. So what are the AP poll voters afraid of? Why aren't they going to rank them? They're undefeated. They're one of the last undefeated teams standing with Arizona and Nebraska. Rank them. Just rank them. At this point, until they lose, rank them. Once they lose, then you can drop them out and say, oh, we told you so. I get it. They've played nobody, and they're going to play nobody because they play in the MAC. But, I mean, you got to give respect to the fact that they haven't lost a single game. Put them in the top 25. Also, yesterday, on Wednesday, we had 2 buzzer beaters in the SEC and 1 in the ACC. One coming from Ole Miss. Was it beating Georgia on a buzzer beater late in overtime? Wow, what a game. We also had Boopy Miller. Yeah, you heard me right. That's a college basketball player's name. Boopy Miller hitting a buzzer beater for SMU against Virginia Tech, winning in the ACC. We're going to talk about the other one in the SEC a little bit later. That one's got a little more context coming to it. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But man, 3 buzzer beaters just yesterday. 2 in the SEC, 1 in the ACC. If there's some others, I might have missed them. But man, we had some good college basketball going on yesterday. Before we even get to that, we have some playoff games we got to pick. And we have a national championship next Monday we got to pick. We have Miami versus Indiana. It's going to be at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. What is Miami's home stadium? Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Oh, that's great. If you're an Indiana fan, you're thinking, that's great. They get to play on their home stadium against us in the national championship. Isn't that lovely? Well, if you're Indiana, it's just another chip on your shoulder. It gives you more motivation to go and win. I mean, Miami's going back home to compete for a national championship, and Indiana has to travel on the road again. But Indiana fans have been traveling this whole college football playoff, and I expect them to travel again. I'm not saying they're going to take over Hard Rock Stadium and have more fans than Miami. That would be crazy. Miami will probably have more fans than there. But I do expect Indiana to travel well to the national championship. I mean, they've been traveling well all college football playoff against Alabama, against Oregon. They've been traveling. It's the biggest game in Indiana football history. Why wouldn't you travel for it? I get to say I saw it there in person. You know, I've heard someone say I'd rather pay for memories and buy memories than buy fun. Well, if you're an Indiana football fan, this is a memory that you would not want to miss. According to ESPN's matchup predictor, Indiana is favored by 68.3%. I mean, not favored, has a 68.3% chance of winning, and Miami has a 31.7% chance of winning. Sorry, my brain sometimes does not work, as we've discussed before on the show. And Miami is favored by, not Miami, Indiana, again, brain not working, by 7.5 points, 8.5 depending on where you look. Man, brain does not work sometimes. Indiana favored by 7.5 and 8.5. I think Indiana's going to win this game. I don't think they're going to cover. I don't think they're going to cover. I think Miami's going to cover because I think it's going to be like 28-21. I think that's going to be the score of the game. I think Indiana's going to win. Miami covers at 7.5. Fernando Mendoza is just playing lights out in the playoffs. I get it. He hasn't thrown for like crazy amounts of yards, but he's had more touchdowns than incompletions so far in the playoffs. 8 touchdowns, only 5 completions in the 2 playoff games he's played. He's had more touchdowns, he's had incompletions in the playoffs. That's phenomenal. And then match that with the run game that Indiana has. That is phenomenal. With Black and Hemby. They are both 2 phenomenal running backs. I mean, Indiana against Oregon ran for almost, let me see here. They ran for almost 200 yards. They ran for 185. Kalen Black had 63. Roman Hemby had 53. Kalen Black had 2 rushing touchdowns. They are phenomenal on the run game. Now, the question is, will they be able to run the ball against that stout Indiana front? Miami front, up front with Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor, and the list goes on and on because they are stout on the defensive line at Miami. Will they be able to run the ball there? I would say so because another team that Indiana faced was Ohio State, and Ohio State was pretty stout up front on the defensive line, especially in the run game. They were top 20 defense in the run game, at least, if not top 10 defense, and they were probably a top 10 defense in the running game. They were stout defensive at the line, and Indiana could still run the ball. Maybe not 100% as good as they did against Oregon, but they still ran the ball really well. And I think they're going to continue to run the ball well. I think Indiana is going to be able to run the ball against Miami. They might not run for 185 yards, but running for 185 yards a game is not easy. Rushing for 200 yards in a game is not easy as a team. I could see them rushing for 150, and if they do that and then put that on the back of Fernando Mendoza having more touchdowns and completions, they don't beat themselves. They don't make mistakes. Miami makes mistakes and they find ways to win. Indiana doesn't make mistakes and they don't have to find ways to win because of that. They just win because they don't make mistakes. Miami's going to have to force Indiana to make mistakes. Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor, they're going to have to get after Fernando Mendoza. They're going to have to put him to the ground. They're going to have to stuff the run game and force Indiana to throw the ball for 400, 500 yards. Maybe not that many, maybe like 350. But they're going to have to force them to throw for more yards. And, well, as of right now, if I had to trust the ball in Fernando Mendoza's hands, I'm going to. And I think Indiana's going to win. Now, counter side to that, Miami, they are stout on the offensive line and defensive line. And so with that being said, being stout on the offensive line, defensive line, Francis Mariano is phenomenal at right tackle. Then you have everybody else in company. Then you have on the defensive line, like I said, Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor and company. They are stout. If they can stop Indiana's run game and force them to have to drop back and throw the ball, and they force Fernando Mendoza to make some of those mistakes, you can beat them. Again, the thing is, they don't make mistakes. They did against Penn State, and they somehow came back and won. Indiana did. But that's really the only game you've seen them make a lot of mistakes in. They don't make mistakes. Can Miami do what Penn State did? I don't see it happening, only for the purpose of the Penn State game was a long time ago, and Indiana's learned from those mistakes since then. There's just a lot that has to go right for Miami to win this game. Carson Beck, you might have to put the game on his shoulders. And, well, he can maybe win it for you, but if you're trusting on him to throw for 350 yards, and like 4 or 5 touchdowns without throwing a single or 1, 2, or 3 interceptions, that's not a risk I want to take. Mark Fletcher's going to have to run the ball really well. That Miami offensive line is going to have to push the Indiana defensive line. And the Indiana defensive line is phenomenal. While they might not be as good as Miami's in the extent of getting to the quarterback, they stuff the run like nobody's business. They play zone like crazy. They disguise coverages like crazy, and they confuse the crap out of you. And they stuff the run. They have the best defense in college football. I mean, it's really going to be a uphill battle for Miami. Not saying Miami can't win, because they obviously can. They've gotten to this point. They're good enough to win. But they're going to have to play the best game they've played all year. And guess what? It's the last game of the year. Might as well make it the best one. They 100% can play the best game they've played all year because it's the last game. They don't have to do it for a 4 or 5 game stretch in like a 5-game series. They just have to do it for one game. And as people say, we may win 9 out of 10 times. But they may win 9 out of 10 times. But all you got to do is win this one. Miami just has to win this one. It's possible. But I'm still going to take Indiana to win. I'm going to take Miami to cover the 7.5 or 8.5, depending on where you look. I'm going to take Indiana to win, though, 28-27. It will be a thrilling national championship. We also have some playoff games in the NFL this weekend. Clap it up for that. We had a phenomenal round last weekend, and we have a phenomenal round again this weekend. On, Saturday, you have the Bills and the Broncos. Denver, according to ESPN's matchup review, has a 50.7% chance of winning. The Bills have a 49.3%. This will be in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, at Empower Field at Mile High. This will be a phenomenal game. Denver is favored by 1.5 points. Who am I going to take? Do I take Josh Allen and the Bills that have been here many, many times recently and just they folded? Either whether it's in this game, a game later, or a game sooner, they folded. Or I take the young gun, Bo Nix, who is in his 2nd or 3rd season in the NFL. I'm pretty sure it's his 2nd. And he's there. Everybody knows who he is. He's rising onto the scene. He's got his team as a 1 seed. They have a good defense and offense. Who do I take? Do I take Josh Allen and a former MVP? Or do I take the young gun? That is a tough question that you can really think about and analyze. But I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take the 1 seed. And I will take them to cover that 1.5. Because I'm going to take them to win. I think they're going to win by 3. I think it'll be like a 24-21 type game. But you can call me crazy. I will take the Denver Broncos to win. I like Josh Allen. He's really good. I just don't like everything that the Bills have to serve fully to me compared to the Broncos. Now, the Bills have momentum because they already played a game, whereas the Broncos had to sit a week. But the Broncos got time to get healthy. Also, it will be in Denver at the Broncos Stadium. Playing in that stadium, in that elevation, unless it's your home field, it's not easy. So, that's advantage Broncos. Coaching advantage. Both head coaches are really good. I might give it to the Broncos, though, in that scenario. Might. Slight coaching advantage. Maybe. But other than that, quarterback advantage. Both are really good. Who's better? You'll probably say Josh Allen. And I wouldn't disagree with you there. Except, Bo Nix might be having a better year. I mean, they're very comparable. Josh Allen has thrown for 3,668 yards. Bo Nix 3,931. Josh Allen 25 touchdowns. Bo Nix 25 touchdowns. Josh Allen 10 interceptions. Bo Nix 11. Difference is though, Josh Allen is better because he can run the ball a lot better. I mean, he is a ginormous quarterback at 6'5", 237. He's huge. He can run the ball really well. Bills, they can run the ball better. James Cook, 1,621 rushing yards. Phenomenal. I mean, Bills got that offense. The question is, can they handle the elevation of Denver, and can they handle not only the elevation, but can they handle having to play against Denver's phenomenal defense? And yeah, I think they can. But if I had to really give a pick, I'm picking the Broncos to beat the Bills. Again, I'm probably going to go, I'm going to have them cover that 1.5. I'm going to have them win 24-21. That's my pick as of right now. That's not going to change before this game happens because this game's 2 days away. It's a phenomenal game. It'll be a phenomenal game. And, if Buffalo wins, I won't be surprised. But I just can't see them getting past the Broncos with how the Broncos have played all season. And so that's why we will pick Denver. Also, Denver's 8-1 at home. The Bills are 5-3 on the road. That's also good context to have. Again, Broncos win. They cover that 1.5. 24-21 is my final pick there. Seattle versus San Francisco. This is a matchup of the end of the regular season where Seattle won 13-3. Wow, what a shootout, right? 13-3. It's in Seattle. Who's going to win? Seattle, according to ESPN's match predictor, has a 59.2% chance of winning. The 49ers have a 40.8% chance of winning. And Seattle's favored by 7 points. Seattle just won 13-3 in a 10-point win last time. So, can they do it again? Yeah, I like to think so. The 49ers, they're phenomenal. They have a phenomenal head coach, Kyle Shanahan. Phenomenal. Smart. But their defense has lacked sometimes this season. Not a lot. Sometimes. But last time they played Seattle, they didn't lack. They only gave up 13 points. I think that was a score, right? What was 13-3, right? Yeah. They only gave up, like I said, 13 points. And the first time these teams played, they won 17-13. So it's hey, their defense has given up 13 points twice against the Seahawks. That's good. Their offense, though, one time put up 3 and another time put up 17. What do you expect from them then? I expect this to be a tough fought battle. Again, it's a 7-point spread favoring Seattle. I expect the 49ers to cover the 7. I expect this to be a close game. Let's see, another 24-21 type game. Except I would go 17-14 type game. Someone wins on a late field goal, being the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle is going to win this game on a late field goal. They're going to win 17-14 or 24-21. I just think Seattle's defense mixed with the offense is phenomenal. I mean, Brock Purdy, he's thrown for 2,167 yards compared to Sam Darnold's 4,048. Sam Darnold's thrown for 25 touchdowns, Brock Purdy for 20. Sam Darnold's thrown for 14 interceptions, Brock Purdy for 10. And then the run game, Christian McCaffrey, 1,202 yards on the ground, is the leading rusher for San Francisco. Walker for Seattle, 1,027. Kenneth Walker has had a good season also. He's less than 200 full yards under Christian McCaffrey. And then when they've thrown for almost 2,000 more yards offensively, they just look better than the 49ers as a whole. As a team as a whole, they look better than the 49ers. 49ers defense has been pretty solid this year. I know I said they've been lacking in moments because, in moments, they did. In moments, they lacked. It was a shootout against the Bears before that Seattle Seahawks game to end the season. It was 42-38. The game before that was 48-27. Before that was 37-24. And so, again, their defense has lacked in moments. Hasn't been great in moments. It's been also really good against, specifically the Seahawks this season, too, in moments. So, the question is, what 49ers team do you get? And the question is, what Seahawks team do you get? If you get the best version of both teams, this can be a phenomenal game. But I can't see the Seahawks losing at home. It's hard to see home teams lose. Most of the time, it doesn't happen. I might pick an upset at home later. I don't know yet. I haven't decided yet on that game. That game is a toss-up in my mind of if I'm going to pick or not, due to certain other aspects of that game. But, it's just hard to see Seattle losing at home. They're phenomenal. I see them getting back to the NFC Championship. And maybe making their way back to the Super Bowl. Maybe. Next, you have the Houston Texans versus the New England Patriots. The Patriots, according to ESPN's matchup predictor, have a 51.7% chance of winning. Texans a 48.3% chance of winning. And the Patriots are favored by 3. This is where I might take the road team. You're going to call me crazy. But I like the Texans. I like their defense. They are 5-3 on the road, but they haven't lost since they lost to the Broncos. Not the Broncos. They haven't lost since they lost to the Broncos on what was this date? Back in November 2nd. They haven't lost since November 2nd. Now, every good thing has to come to an end at some point when it comes to football and not losing. Do I think it's now against the Patriots? No. I like the Texans in this game. I love C.J. Stroud. He's a good quarterback. Is he as good as Drake May? No. But the defense for the Texans is phenomenal. They have been, when playing their best and healthy, the best in one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. They have looked really good. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to win against the Patriots at the Patriots Stadium. At Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. But they're going to win. The Texans are going to find a way to win. They're going to cover that 3. And they're going to win 28-21. That's my pick. I don't love it. But, I'm not going to go straight chalk the whole way through. Some upsets got to happen. And this is one I see happening. I don't love it. That's my least favorite pick out of all my picks. But you know what? I don't love any of these picks because they're all going to be tough games, close games. And as we saw in week 1, football is unpredictable. The Panthers almost beat the Rams. Now, they didn't beat the Rams. They almost beat the Rams, though. And so it can be unpredictable at times. But I love the Texans defense and what they bring to the table. Now, for the final NFL playoff game, we have the Rams at the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. The Rams have a 61.8% chance of winning. Bears 38.2% according to ESPN's matchup predictor. And the Rams are favored by 4.5 or 3.5 depending on where you look. I like the Rams in this game. Again, another road team winning. Who would have thought? I like the Rams in this game for the purpose of they're 5-4 on the road. Let's take that into factor. And the Bears are 6-2 at home. But Matthew Stafford has had an MVP level season. He's had a phenomenal season. He's played phenomenally. He is phenomenally. He has looked phenomenal all season long. Caleb Williams has also had a really good year, just not as good as Matthew Stafford. Kyrie Williams has also had a phenomenal season. Puka Nacua has had a phenomenal season. Colson Loveland has done well for the Bears in what is his rookie season. He has looked really well. But do I think the Bears can outlast the Rams at home, just like they did the Packers? They were down. They had to score 25 points. Caleb Williams and the Bears did in the fourth quarter to beat the Packers. To beat the Packers, they had to score 25 points in the fourth quarter. You can't do that against the Rams. If you're down that bad, you're not going to win. So what makes me think they're going to be up in the fourth quarter against the Rams? Nothing, because the Rams are better than the Packers. The Bears struggled against the Packers. And that's a rivalry alone, so it's going to be amplified. But the Packers didn't have Micah Parsons. They didn't have one of the best defenders. So I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams to cover that 4.5 or 3.5, depending on where you look. I'm going to say again, 28-21. Or let's go 35-28. Let's go 35-20. Let's change it up. I've been going 28-21 or 24-21 a lot. Or 17-14. Let's go 35-28 with the Rams going past the Bears. Sean McVay versus the Seahawks in the NFC Championship. Wow, that would be fun. That would be exciting, especially because we had a thrilling matchup there. When was it? Week 16, I think, or whatever week it was. It was December 18th. I don't remember what week that was, but that was a phenomenal game that came down to overtime and also just the crazy play that happened. I don't know how to explain it, But that one crazy play that happened to favor the Seahawks, well, if you get this game, it was in Seattle, wasn't it? Yes, it was at Lumen Field, however you say it, in Seattle, Washington. 38-37. That would be a good rematch where the Rams will want some revenge. That'll be phenomenal to see. And that I think you're going to see the Rams versus the Seahawks in the NFC Championship. Now, I could be very wrong, but that would be a phenomenal game to see. Now going to college basketball. Let's go to some of the games that we had from Tuesday. Iowa State was undefeated until they had to face Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse, named after the legendary Phog Allen. Kansas won 84-63. Kansas was led by none other than Trey White, Darren Peterson, and Melvin Council Jr. Yeah, Darren Peterson's playing again. He's looked good in moments. He's looked bad in moments. But he's a good point guard. It's either going to be between him, DeBonsa, or Boozer for the number one pick in the NBA draft. A lot of people are saying Darren Peterson. I like AJ DeBonsa a little more. I like his height and his fluidity just a little bit more. But, I mean, Darren Peterson had 16 points, went 2 of 7 from 3, 6 of 15 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Trey White had 19 points. Melvin Council had 15. They got 16 points from their bench, so they actually got some production from their bench by 8 by Jamar McDowell and Marco Jackson with also 8. Iowa State, where did it go wrong for them? Well, they were led by Jamarian Bateman off the bench, who had 12, and then Taman Lipsey with 10, Joshua Jefferson not off the bench with 12, and Milan Momcilovic with 11. Momcilovic. His name is a little bit of a tongue twister sometimes. Milan Momcilovic. They shot 37% from the field, 33% from the three-point line. That's actually not bad from the three-point line, but from the field, not good. And 55% from the free throw line. They got rebounded by 1 rebound. They had 12 turnovers. Kansas had 9. So how do they lose by 21? Well, when you shoot 37% from the field and your opponent shoots 51%, that's not a recipe for success. Again, that's like trying to be a blind squirrel and trying to find a nut. When you're shooting 37% from the field, you're that blind squirrel that finds a nut every now and then. Iowa State's not a blind squirrel. They find plenty of nuts. They're not a blind squirrel. And just in this instance, in this game, they try to be a blind squirrel, and they found a nut every now and then, but they did not find the plentiful that they could from the field. Also, shooting 55% from the free throw line is not great. That is not helpful. That is not a winning recipe. Then you have UConn surviving against Seton Hall. They were up 35-22 against Seton Hall in the first half, and they ended up winning 69-64. So they survived. They come back to Seton Hall and tried to put on. Sheen Holloway has done phenomenal at Seton Hall this year. Seton Hall is a tough team to beat. They go to 14-3, 4-2 in the Big East. Seton Hall, tough team. UConn goes to 17-1. UConn was led by Terrence Reed Jr. with 21, Alex Kerman with 13, Braylon Mullins with 11, and then Silas Emery had 8, and Solo Ball had 8. And then Seton Hall was led by Mike Williams with 16, Adam Clark with 12, and well, that's really all they had from the stars that were significant, because the next star with most points was Stephon Payne with 5, then Elijah Fisher with 4, and AJ Staten McCray with 2. But they also had Najee Hines off the bench with 10, so they got some production off the bench. Problem was for Seton Hall, they shot 16%. Not 16%, 6% from the three-point line, going 1 of 16. That's like me putting a blindfold on and then trying to shoot a bow and arrow with my feet. I am not going to hit a bullseye except for maybe one time. Again, they put a blindfold on and they try to shoot a bow and arrow with their feet. Their aim's looking like this. Just not steady, just swaying back and forth, up and down, sideways. They don't know where they're shooting. They went 1 of 16. That's not a good game. Are they like that every game? No. But that was not good success from that in that game. They shot 41% from the field. That's not bad. 60% from the free throw line. Also not good. Again, they put a blindfold on, and this time they decided to shoot their free throws with one arm. And it was their off arm. So I'm right-handed, so I'd be going left-handed in this game. Not great offensive production. Now, they out-rebounded UConn, and they also had less turnovers than UConn, but they couldn't put the ball in the hoop. UConn shot 51% from the field, 18% from the three-point line, 62% from the free throw line. Again, UConn had success. Now, they shot 18% from the three-point line, going 3 of 17. So again, they're putting a blindfold on, shooting a bow and arrow with their feet. Except they hit more bullseyes this time. And then from the free throw line, they went 16 of 26, whereas Seton Hall went 15 of 25. They had one more attempt and made that one more. So then it comes down to the field goal percentage, and well, they were 25 of 49, and Seton Hall was 24 of 58. They had 9 more attempts from the field. Seton Hall did, but they could not capitalize. UConn wins. Dan Hurley's team and the UConn Huskies go to 17-1. Then you have Louisville losing to Virginia, 79-70. Virginia, they have bounced back in their second year without Tony Bennett. They have looked really solid. They are 15-2, fourth in the ACC. They play SMU next at SMU. That's gonna be a tough game on the road because of Boopie Miller and the SMU Mustangs that are looking good too. Maybe not as good as Virginia, but Louisville's also a solid team. Louisville's a solid team, except they didn't have Michael Brown Jr. in this game. He was hurt. He's been dealing with some back issues, and so without Michael Brown Jr., this Louisville team is a completely different team, and they're not as good as people thought they would be coming into the season without him. Without him, they struggle. But Virginia was led by Malik Thomas with 19 points, Sam Lewis with 15, and Johan Grunlow with 16 points. And then they had Chance Mallory with 7 off the bench. Dallin Hall had 5. And then Tyus Day Ritter had 9. I might have butchered a name or two there. It's going to happen. Isaac McNeely for Louisville had 23. Ryan Conwell 14. Javon Hanley with 11. Then Adrian Wooley with 5. You're going to need him to produce more, especially with Michael Brown out. He averaged 9.7 points a game. He had 5 there. Not successful. Sonata Frew had 6. And then off the bench, you had Ali Khalifa with 9. So Ali Khalifa actually stepped up and averaged almost 6 more points than he normally. Had 6 more points than he averaged. He averaged 3.5. But that's not a winning recipe for success because without Michael Brown Jr., their percentages might go down a little bit. Shooting wise, they shot 26% from the 3-point line, going 10 of 38. Again, when you're shooting 38 threes, and so 50% of their attempts of the field are from the 3-point line because they shot 67 shots, and 30 of those attempts were threes. You're not going to make, and you only shoot 26%, you're not going to win a game. And they didn't win this game. They lost by 9. So if they make 3 more of those threes and get that percentage up to more towards 35, they're in it, or maybe they win it. But they shot 36% from the field also. That's not helpful, and that's also due to you shooting 26% from the 3-point line. And then going 67% from the free throw line is not good, especially when your opponent goes 40% from the field, 41% from the 3-point line, 79% from the free throw line. But you know what? Both teams are solid teams, and Virginia gets a solid win at the KFC Yum Center against Louisville. Now you have Tennessee versus Texas A&M. Tennessee survives the Aggies, winning 87-82. They were led by Nate Amon with 23 points, then Felix Akpar with 10, Jacoby Gillespie with 18, Bishop Boswell with 13, and then Jalen Carey with 10 off the bench. They have looked solid. They looked like a what's their head coach's name? I have it. I know it. They look solid. Rick Barnes. I was gonna say, I don't know how I forget Rick Barnes. They look like a solid Rick Barnes team. Good defensively. Offense is good enough. They shot 25% from the 3-point line. They've got to get that better. They've got to take that blindfold off and start shooting with both hands instead of both being tied behind their back. They shot 37% from the field. Again, take that blindfold off. It makes it easier. Texas A&M, due to Tennessee's, now both teams played good defense. Due to Tennessee's defense, Texas A&M shot 30% from the field, 36% from the 30% from the 3-point line, 36% from the field, 66% from the free throw line. They were led by Jakari Lane with 20 points, Rylan Griffin with 10, Ruben Dominguez with 15, and Rashawn Ajayi with 11. And they also had Pop Isaacs off the bench with 16. And then also Zach Clemens fouled out of the game, Rylan Griffin fouled out of the game, and Rashawn Ajayi fouled out of the game. So it was a very foul-heavy game. Jacoby Gillespie for Tennessee fouled out of the game. Bishop Boswell had 4. It was foul-heavy on both sides. A lot of fouls being called. Tennessee survives against Texas A&M. Texas gives Vanderbilt their first loss of the season, winning 80-64. Now, did they put Tyler Tanner in a box? That's what everyone's going to say. Did they stop Tyler Tanner? Is that how Vanderbilt lost? No, Tyler Tanner had 17 points. Duke Miles had 21. Tyler Nickel had 10. And Devin McLaughlin had 9. But AK, I don't even know how to say his last name, Okoreke? Don't know how to say his name. He averages 8.2 points a game. He had 0. And then you only had 7 points off of your bench. Not helpful. You shoot 36% from the three-point line, 37% from the field, 73% from the free throw line. If you get this field goal percentage and three-point percentage up, you might win this game. You also had 10 turnovers. Those 10 turnovers weren't terrible, but you've got to shoot better from the field and from the three-point line. Especially when Texas shoots 53% from the field and 41% from the three-point line, 86% from the free throw line. They were led by Matas Vokiatatis. Don't even know how to say his last name. That's a crazy name. We're just going to go with Mateus. However you say his name. Crazy name. I'm not good with names sometimes. He had 22 points. Then Jordan Pope with 12. Dalen Swain with 14. And Tremont Mark with 21. They also had 8 points off their bench. But they only gave the most points someone off the bench was 6. And that was to Chendall Weaver, who had 23 points. Had 23 points, 23 minutes. Most of the minutes were with their stars. One of their stars played the least minutes, was 28. So they gave minutes to their stars, and they won. Now you have Stanford also upsetting North Carolina, winning 95-90 on the back of Abuka Okori with 36 points. He's another phenomenal freshman. They also had Ryan Agarwal with 20 points, and then Jeremy Dent-Smith with 20 points. They shot 57% from the three-point line, going 16 of 28. 57% from the field, 65% from the free throw line. So they made up for that for the free throw mistakes with their three-point shooting. And then North Carolina went 38% from the three-point line. Not bad. 63% from the free throw line. Not great. 58% from the field. Solid. They were led by Henry Vasar with 26. Caleb Wilson also had 26. Ted Trimble 13. They lost this game really in that three-point shooting percentage, and that essence of they went 6 of 16. And Stanford went 16 of 28. It's hard to win a game when the other team makes 10 more threes than you do. But if you play some better defense, that doesn't happen. Kentucky is the other buzzer beater from yesterday. They survive against LSU on the road, come back and winning. They were down 18 at one point in the second half, and they come back to win 75-74 on a buzzer beater, thrown from Colin Chandler into Malachi Moreno. Malachi Moreno jumps up and shoots it. Malachi Marino makes the buzzer beater to win the game. And you know what? It must be someone with LSU and buzzer beaters for Kentucky, because Kentucky women's basketball earlier this season also won against LSU on a buzzer beater at LSU. And this must be someone with LSU basketball in general, because in 1994, on February 15th, Kentucky beat LSU, being down by 31 points at one point with 15 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the second half. Kentucky was down 68-37, and they came back to win 99-95. Mark Pope, the head coach of Kentucky, played on that team. I don't know how much he played in that game because I wasn't born in 1994. So if you are, you can, go down in the comments, tell me below. I wasn't born yet though, so I don't know. But I know he's the head coach of Kentucky now, and he helped coach his team to a phenomenal comeback, winning 75-74. They were led by Otego with 21 points, Denzel Albertine with 17, Malachi Moreno with 10, and Andre Yelovich with 11. And then on the bench, Colin Chandler had 9. And Mo Diabate had 2. Cam Williams also had 5 in that starting lineup. But they shot 43% from the field, going 43% from the three-point line, going 10 of 23, and 45% from the field, 68% from the free throw line. They got to get those the free throw percentage up. 68%, not good. Could be worse. Could be at 50. Could be at 40. But got to get it up. What's helpful, though, is when your opponent goes 47% from the three-point line, but only 9 of 19. So they made 1 less three than you did. They made 2 less field goals than you did. And they made 4 more free throws than you did. So you counterbalance their free throws with field goals and threes. LSU shot 49% from the field, 68% from the free throw line. They were led by Max McKinnon with 16, and Markel Studden with 16, and then Pablo Tamba had 10, and Rashad King had 12. And on the bench, you had Jalen Reese with 11. What really happened here was Kentucky had more assists, less turnovers than LSU did throughout the whole game. They got rebounded by 3, but Kentucky found a way to survive and win. To not survive, but come back and win on the road. being down. They were down 38-22 at halftime. Again, they were down by 18 at one point. They came back to win 75-74 on the back of outscoring LSU 53-36 in the second half. If Kentucky can do that more consistently in the first half and combine with a second half performance like that, they will be a better team. They will win more games. They will be ahead more at halftime instead of having to make these drastic comebacks. But until then, Kentucky will be a flawed team that will struggle winning in March. Arizona survives a late, not even just a late, but a tough game all around against Arizona State, winning 89-82. And when I was going to say late, one player from Arizona State, in particular, Maurice Odom, hit a three and got fouled while hitting that three. And he goes to take the free throw to make it a 2-point game. To make it a 1-point game, I think. And he misses. And from there on, Arizona coasted. That's with a minute left in the game or whatnot. That was a close game all around. Well, let's talk about Arizona State for a second. Maurice Odom had 23 points. Anthony Johnson had 4. Masamba Diop had 16. Alan Mukeba had 2. And then Santiago Truitt had 6. And off the bench, you had Andrea Grabvi with 10 and Noah Musin with 12 and Bryce Ford with 9. They shot 44% from the three-point line, 64% from the free throw line, and 48% from the field. If their free throw percentage would have been better and they would have shot better from the free throw line, they would have found a way to tie this game, take it to overtime, and maybe win this game. Maybe. Or they wouldn't have. They did lose by 7, but their free throws is really what kept late. The missing those free throws is really what pushed Arizona over that little hump in that stretch. Arizona shot 36% from the three-point line, going 4 for 11. 81% from the free throw line, though, and 54% from the field. They are led by none other than Koa Pete and Toby Awaka. Toby Awaka had 25 points. I mean, he just looked like he could get inside and just do a little something, make it. Just no matter where he was, he just make it. From the block, from here, from there, from everywhere. And then, I mean, he went 1 of 1 from the three-point line and 8 of 11 from the field. He was just, like I said, a little right in. Koa Pete had 24 points. He doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't need to, though. He gets down the paint, and he drives, makes layups. He puts you in the post. He does a little shimmy, shimmy, shake, shake, bake, bake, whoo, fade away, or roll right through you. I mean, Koa Pete's phenomenal. Ivan Karchenkov had 15 points, going 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Jaden Bradley had 12. Jaden Bradley makes that final shot to kind of put the nail in the coffin against Arizona State. He said, this is my team. I could hand it to Toby Walker, Koa Pete, and just let them go to work, or I could drive and go, and he just goes to drive and go, and he made it, and he helped finish that game off against Arizona State. BYU survives against TCU. TCU was up 36-30 at halftime, and BYU ends up winning 76-70. This was a good game. TCU's a tough team. I mean, they battled against Michigan earlier on in the year. They battled against Kansas. They're a tough team. TCU's a tough team. They might not be a great team. They might be flawed, but they're tough. TCU was led by Xavier Edmonds with 19 points, Micah Robinson with 10 off the bench, Brock Hart with 8, Jaden Pierre with 5, David Punch with 7. They're good enough to be in these games, but they've got to start winning some of them. They shot 41% from the field, 30% from the three-point line, 67% from the free throw line, 9 turnovers, 16 assists, 36 rebounds. Jaden Pierre did foul out of the game, and then David Punch and Xavier Edmonds both had 4 fouls, which kind of led to when BYU kind of took over that game. BYU, who are they going to be led by? Let me think here. AJ DeBonsa, who my number 1 pick in the draft would be. He had 25 points, going 8 of 22 from the field, 2 of 7 from the three-point line, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. He is a stud. Keba Keita had 7 points, 10 rebounds. Keba Keita, again, his arms are bigger than the size of my head. He gets boards. He doesn't need to score. He's there for physical presence. Kennard Davis Jr., 2 points. He did not have a great game, going 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. But you know what? When you have AJ DeBonsa, Richie Saunders, Rob Wright, and Keba Keita, you don't always have to be great. Speaking of Richie Saunders, 18 points, 4 of 12 from the field, 1 of 3 from the three-point line, 9 of 11 from the free throw line. He gets to the free throw line, you know. He might not be like James Harden when it comes to, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander when it comes to skill sets or skill-wise, But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets to the free throw line in the NBA. Richie Saunders, he got to the free throw line in this game. Rob Wright, again, also had 15 points. And then you had Milo Boscovi with 8 on the bench for BYU. Again, Richie Saunders, he ain't nowhere near James Harden or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander level of a basketball player. But you know what? What do? They get to the free throw line. What does he do in this game? He gets to the free throw line, going 9 of 11. That's helpful. Now, BYU shot 21% from the three-point line. Again, they got to take the blindfold off. They got to open their eyes a little bit. They got to untie their hands from behind their back, use both of them, and they'll be good. They shot 35% from the field. Take the blindfold off, they'll be fine. 79% from the free throw line. Apparently, they decided to shoot the free throws normal and take the blindfold off, use their normal hands, do their normal routine, and they were good from there. But they got to do that from the field, the three-point line too, or they might lose a game like this next time. But their defense held them in there and helped them come back. Again, Michigan, they beat Washington 82-72. Purdue beat Iowa 79-72. Duke beat California 71-56. Illinois beat Northwestern 79-68. Texas Tech beat Utah 88-74. Arkansas whooped South Carolina. They gave them the belt. They won 108-74. We talked about Ole Miss beating Georgia 97-95 on that buzzer beater. I would go over all those games, but then this video would be 2 days long. So we're not going to do that. But those were also some really good games. On Saturday, you also have some more good games. You have Kentucky at Tennessee. You have Michigan State and Washington. You have UConn and Georgetown. You have Minnesota, Illinois, Virginia and SMU. You have Butler and Seton Hall, Alabama, Oklahoma, Iowa State and Cincinnati. Florida and Vanderbilt. It's going to be a phenomenal game this weekend. That's a ranked matchup. That's going to be phenomenal. It's at Vanderbilt. Can Vanderbilt bounce back after getting their first loss of the season? You have Miami and Clemson. Jay Lucas is doing a phenomenal job in Miami this year in his first year as the Hurricanes basketball head coach. They are looking good. They're 15-2. Can they get a road win against Clemson? You have Arizona versus UCF, Michigan, Oregon, Nebraska, Northwestern, North Carolina, California, Arkansas, Georgia, Purdue, USC, Duke, Stanford, BYU, Texas Tech, Louisville, Pittsburgh, and Gonzaga, Seattle. Gonzaga's conference games, they're not going to be great because they don't play in a tough conference. But you know what? They're still a good team. That's a lot of games. I just said a lot of games, but we have a lot of great games in college basketball this weekend. Great games in the NFL, great games in the playoffs in the NFL this weekend. A great national championship game coming up next Monday. If only it was sooner, it would be nice, wouldn't it? But you know what? God bless you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. That's Game Talk 24/7. Thank you guys for watching.